I finally designed a sliding carriage for use with a folding workstation I made almost 3 years ago. This is the first video in a two-part series where I'll be showing you how to build and use this versatile sliding carriage. I'm sure it will improve the performance and cutting quality of this workstation significantly. The idea is to make the most of this design's modular system and make a new module to use with the assembly table so that we don't have to lose the possibilities this table offers. Swapping the assembly table for the sliding carriage is quick and easy. The top of this module will allow me to continue using the dovetail clamp system to place workpieces on this workstation. I use the same dovetail system to secure the fence to the carriage. To use the carriage, I have to remove some bolts. I also installed a folding side table to cut larger workpieces. The carriage's fence is extendable and will allow me to use the track stops I made for another design. It's built so that you can also cut at an angle with the sliding carriage. Another interesting feature I added to this design is being able to use the carriage itself as a jointer sled for special cuts. Here the dovetail clamp system will work really well. I think this carriage will also be perfect if you want to adapt it to other homemade table saw workbenches, though it will most likely require some modifications. This is the 3D file included in the plans available on my website. Besides this model, the plans also have PDFs with the dimensions. I'll leave a link in the description of this video in case you're interested in making your own carriage or collaborating with my work and help me keep doing these kinds of projects. In order to cut pieces with a little more depth, I'll use the same ideas in my other mobile workbench. I'm going to install a drawer with metal slides under the carriage. It's worked wonderfully for the past 5 years, so adding this idea to the workstation shouldn't be a problem. These clips are from my previous video, where I revised the carriage and showed a new way to use it. To make the carriage, I'll use the folding workstation itself. I put it vertically against the wall in my workshop to show you how little space it takes when I put it away. If you've seen the previous videos on how I built it, you'll know I use a scooter's wheels to move it around, and some barrel latches to lock its folding legs. I'll leave another link to the playlist with all the videos on this project below in the description of this video. Setting up this workstation to work with it is only a matter of seconds. A few weeks ago I made a holder so I could put the outfeed table away when I don't need it. This table is also very easy to set up. I'll start by making the carriage piece itself and the side folding table. I'll use trailer plywood. This kind of wood has an anti-slip texture on one of its sides. I'm going to try something new and use this as its main face, but I'll sand it down a little to make it less rough. I mounted the dado stack on the table saw to make some cuts prior to routing it for the holding system. This plywood is very sturdy. With other kinds of boards this wouldn't be necessary. I can't use this workstation's router because the diameter of the router bit's shaft is too large, so I'll use my other larger router table. I'm also going to apply a couple of coats of matte black enamel on the upper surface of these tops. It's time to cut the rest of the pieces for this project. I'll use birch plywood, but you could also use pine plywood, which is much cheaper. I'm going to machine the top piece of the module as required. First, I'll use the dado stock to cut off the necessary material so I can insert it into the miter channel. This could also be done with a blade, but the process would be much slower. Now it's time for the lower part of the module. I'm going to drill 2 holes to machine the adjustment channel. I'll cut it with a jigsaw before that to make the routing easier. On this occasion, I can use the workstation router to finish these channels. I make sure everything's okay and drill the required holes to join all the parts of the module together. In my case, to make the assembly easier, I'm also going to insert biscuits, but they aren't essential. I'll use the table saw sled to cut the interior reinforcements for this module. I fastened them to the module just like before. Now I'm going to cut and install the two pieces that act as a guide for this module. I have to center the module with the top of the saw. I'm also going to leave some more space between the module and the legs of the saw, and for that I'll use some pieces of board as spacers. First I'll position the two pieces with super glue, and then use some screws for a stronger bond. It's time to install the miter channel. I had to drill some new holes in the profile to ensure they match the reinforcements I had previously installed inside the module. I'm also going to install the slider, which I made out of HPL. I could also build it with hardwood. I'll use some washers to lift it a little when inserting it into the profile, and super glue to its position on the underside of the carriage before placing the screws. I just realized I forgot to drill the holes for the bolts that will allow me to lock the carriage. I'll drill them now, but it's better to do this before installing the slider. I'll use the holes I just drilled as a guide to drill the other piece of the module. Since I don't have metric 6 threaded inserts, I'll use metric 5 bolts and inserts. I think both models are perfect for this. Now I'll install the brackets of the folding side table. I'll also use some spacers here so that the brackets can turn freely without hitting the underside of the carriage. After installing the first screws, I have to cut some more spacers with the same thickness as the previous ones to place between the brackets and the folding table. It's time to make the base for the fence of the sliding carriage. I made this fence a few months ago for an old project. These clips are from that video. I'll put a link to that one in the description of this video in case you want to check it out. For the base, I'll use a piece of birch plywood I had in my workshop. After cutting it to size, I drill all the required holes. Now I'll use the table saw to cut a recess for the profile. If you don't feel comfortable cutting this recess with the saw, you can use the router table or even glue together two pieces of different sizes to achieve the same recess. Just like earlier, I'll use the router table to finish machining the channel that will make it possible to cut at an angle with this fence. I make sure the base is flush with the profile. Now I'm going to cut the spacers using an aluminum pipe and to join the T-bolts to the wooden dovetail with epoxy adhesive. The last step is to put all the parts of this fence together. To join the base and the profile together, I put one more bolt in the center of the base. This hole is not in the plans, but I don't think it's indispensable. That's all for today. In a few days I'll upload the second part of this project, where I'll be showing you how to make the drawer for use with this sliding carriage.